Hello again and welcome to another Bolt Action Starter Army review video, and today guys we're going to be switching away from the Germans and taking a look at the British and Canadian Starter Army. Now those of you joining us the first time, how I tend to do these review videos is I take a look at specifically what you will get in the box, and then we do a little bit more of a deep dive into those kits. Are they newer ones, older ones, early war, late war, and then last but certainly not least we'll do a quick review and comparison of this starter army to some of the other starter armies you can get for this faction. So without further ado, let's dive straight into it. So the first thing to mention is you are going to get 36 British or Canadian infantry, and these are going to be plastic. You're then going to get a British Army MMG team, a medium mortar team, and a 6-pounder, which is all going to be in metal, including the crew. And then you're going to get 2 plastic vehicles. You're going to get a universal carrier, and you're going to get a plastic Churchill infantry tank, which is a heavy tank. And the reason I make that distinction is because a lot of starter armies for different factions come with a medium tank. It's actually quite a treat for one to come with a heavy tank. But now let's do a proper deep dive on the different kits that you get in this box. So first thing to mention is that the British and Canadian infantry is one of the newest kits that Warlord has produced. This is the second iteration of British infantry, and it is a vast improvement. The poses are better, the moulding is better. A lot of the old ones look like they were standing with their knees locked together for some reason, even when they were running. Pretty mad poses. And the new ones just overall look much better. Also, a big improvement is that the weapons are now molded into the hands. You guys know that I have a bit of a problem when with the older kits you have to try and glue rifles into hands manually, and all you end up with is a bunch of hands that look like balls of glue as they're trying to hold on to badly aligned rifles. It's just a really bad system when you have to glue the weapons into the hands, but in this case that is not a problem because all of the weapons are molded into the hands, which is great. Now speaking of weapon systems, you are going to find all sorts of delicious things in this kit. You will get enough rifles to fit every single man on each 6-man sprue with a rifle, or you can start giving them some other weapons. You're actually going to get quite a generous amount of SMGs as well. There are 3 SMGs on each sprue. Now what took me by surprise is you also get a Piat team, which is pretty cool. That's actually one of the main anti-tank weapons for the British, and the fact that you get one in the set is pretty good. The only other time I've seen a main anti-tank weapon like this is with the Germans and their anti-tank rifles, but the Piat is just vastly superior to the anti-tank rifle. One of the things that I think is worth mentioning is that in all of the German infantry, you don't get a Panzerschreck as a plastic option for your infantry. So this is really good. It's a really big bonus that you get a Piat in here. It allows you to build an extra weapon team, and a pretty bloody good one at that as well. However, one slight bone of contention is you only get 1 LMG on these 6-man sprues. We have seen with some of the German starter infantry that you will get 2 LMGs, be they MG34s or MG42s, but with the Brits, the only LMG you're going to get is a single Bren, and that is per 6 men. Now, considering you get 6 sprues of these things, it does mean in total you can build 6 Brens, but it's just something to be aware of. One other thing to mention, which I found quite interesting with this, is the heads. Now, the heads and the helmets actually come separately. You can have all your guys just bareheaded with no helmet on whatsoever, or you can actually glue on the different helmet designs to your heart's content. Now you get some of the basic ones, which are just standard steel helmets, some have got netting on, and some are full of scrim. Now this is the first time that I've seen it where the infantry heads and helmets are not one single piece. I'm not against it though. I think it will allow you to really customize some of not only the facial expressions but also the helmets that are going to be on your infantry as well. It's actually an extra level of detail which I quite like. You also have 6 single piece beret heads as well, and I imagine these are to help represent some of your Canadian troops. Now overall I'm really positive about these plastic British infantry. They're a really good kit, and it's great to see that we've got a starter army including them. Moving on, we do have the metal heavy weapon teams, and that includes a medium machine gun, and I have said this many times before, but it just doesn't feel like a proper starter set if it doesn't have a medium machine gun in it. They're not the best units, they're not the worst, but it just feels right that you get one because they often are one of the coolest units you can get for your army. So I really like the fact there's a Vickers in here. There's also a medium mortar, which is a big plus. You guys know I have a real hard on for the medium mortars, and I just think that they are such an auto include unit that any starter set that comes with one gets a big thumbs up from me. So great to see we've got a medium mortar in here. And then we've also got the 6-pounder medium anti-tank gun. Now this is an absolutely fine anti-tank option. Medium anti-tank guns tend to be able to take on a little bit of everything, although they might struggle somewhat with the late war German tanks. For example, if you end up coming up against a Tiger, you're only going to be able to glance that on a 6 at long range, and against a King Tiger, you won't even be able to glance it. So just to be aware, the medium anti-tank gun tends to be okay for 90% of the armor battles you're going to encounter, but there's that final 10% where some mad lad turns up with the King Tiger, where you might find yourself wishing you'd brought something a little bit stronger. Interesting little side note here. We've noticed that it's normal for many starter armies to include a medium anti-tank gun, but with the German ones, they seem to always include a heavy anti-tank gun or even a super heavy anti-tank gun, which is just an interesting little quirk about those start sets. Now, just coming back round to the British ones for a second, I think all of these weapon teams are absolutely solid. You can't go wrong with medium across the board. Medium machine gun, medium mortar, medium anti-tank. It's just medium for days. It's the jack of all trades, master of none, and I think it's really good. Just to mention, these are metal. That means it is something you are going to have to get used to, especially if you're a 40k player coming over to bot action for the first time. Now, metal models are actually super easy to build because they're basically all one pieces, which is great, but they can suffer from paint chipping off after you have finished them. So what I would always recommend with these metal models is give them a nice seal with a matte varnish. And if you're a 40k player, you can use something like GW's Citadel varnish. It tends to be absolutely fine. Now, moving on from the metal models, we'll go back into the plastic vehicles, and we've got a universal carrier, and it's just a great little transport. Now, unlike some of the German transport we've seen, which can take like 12 men in them, the universal carrier can only transport a small squad of 5, but honestly, that is more than enough. Take a little 5-man squad of veterans, give them 3 SMGs, and you've got a little battle taxi for them. How I like to run my universal carrier is almost exclusively with the double Bren. It's really, really good as a gun platform and as a battle taxi when you've got the firepower on there and you've got the veterans inside. And I've actually done a battle report recently where I did that exact same thing. So if you're interested in that, check out some of my bolt action battle reports. Anyway, moving on from the just classic universal carrier, good all-round transport, we have got the Churchill heavy tank. And this thing is a beast. I said this earlier, but it's really nice for a starter set to come with a heavy tank. A lot of time you're going to find they come with medium tanks, or maybe even like light tanks, an armored car, or maybe like a Stug, like an assault gun. It's really nice when one just comes with a proper beastie tank. Now the Churchill is actually quite a good unit as well. It's really, really well armored. It comes with a decent anti-tank option. It comes with a couple of machine guns as well. Overall, it's actually quite a nice vehicle to have. A little bit pricey because you are going to be paying for that heavy armor. But I've said this before, if you bring a heavy tank to the field and your opponent doesn't have one, it is a massive force multiplier. Another thing I'd like to mention is that I believe the plastic Churchill kit can be used to build several different variants of the Churchill, and I think you can not only build the standard infantry tank, but also the Churchill AVRE, which is a favourite for many British players, just launching those flying dustbins at the enemy and blowing them up with the heavy howitzer. Now, overall, this starter army is really good. In terms of the quality of the sculpts, you're going to find that the plastic infantry is really good. You're going to find that the plastic tank, universal carrier are nice, solid kits. The one thing I would be aware of is the medium mortar. The British medium mortar tends to be quite an older metal model, and sometimes you do find that the sculpts can be a little bit cursed. So that's just something to be aware of. It's kind of a bit of a meme in the bolt action community that the medium mortar guy with his hand in the air does look like he has stared into the Ark of the Covenant. So just be aware that that might be something, but you're not going to notice when you're looking at it from a top-down perspective. Apart from that, all of the sculpts in this kit tend to be modern, new, and really good. Now, in terms of the time period that you can use this starter army for, it very much is going to be more of a mid to late war scenario. I mean, at the end of the day, a big chunk of your points is going to come from that Churchill, and the Churchill was a late war tank. So this very much feels to me like a late war starter army. You're getting lots of Stens rather than Thompsons. You're getting Piats rather than anti-tank rifles. You're getting the Bren. You're getting the Churchill. You're getting all of these things which just feel like a late war army. However, I don't think that's much of a problem because, to be honest, you tend to find that most pickup games of bot action are in the late war. A lot of people want to use their fancy late war toys. And so I actually think it's more of a limiting factor if your starter set is fixed into early or mid-war than it is for your starter set to be fixed in the sort of mid to late war period. So overall, I don't think it's a problem that it's in the late war in any way, shape or form. Now, I just want to do a quick comparison of this starter army to a couple of the other ones you can get for the British. Basically, guys, I would consider this starter army to be the main one for the Brits at this point. You do have the 8th Army starter set and you do have the British Paratroop starter set, but they're kind of unique and a little bit niche. For example, this is the only British starter set that comes with a proper tank. The 8th Army one comes with 2 Bren carriers, but then it comes with 2 artillery pieces, but you can't use both artillery pieces in a normal game. So that's a little bit of a weird one. And also the infantry for the 8th Army very much are based around fighting in the desert. They're all wearing short sleeves and they're all wearing shorts. So I would say that the 8th Army starter set is great. It's very good in terms of cost. You know, it's only £89 in comparison to the British and Canadian one that we're looking at now, which is £106. But it is a little bit more niche, and the weapon options that you can get are reflected that the 8th Army one is very much a mid-war starter set. I would kind of say that the British and Canadian starter army is great for your mid to late war army, and your 8th Army is very much an early to mid-war starter set. So when it comes to picking which one you want, you've got price point and you've got time period, and really it's up to you which one you prefer. Now, I will briefly mention the Paratrooper starter set as well. It's a decent starter set, but it is very limited. It is very affordable though, only £59, one of the cheapest starter sets that Warlord Games does. And what it comes with is 36 plastic Paratroopers and 3 weapon teams, and that's it. Basically, it is a bit of a niche army, and the only reason it can be built up to 1,000 points is because all of the troops that come in that army should be taken as veterans, and that means you're paying a lot more per man. So I do like the British Power Starter Army, but it definitely is lacking a lot of features like transports and tank. Now, if you're interested in picking up any of the starter armies that we've talked about today, or the ones that you've seen in some of my other videos, then please consider using my Element Games affiliate link down in the description below. If you buy a bolt action from Element Games, you can get it for between 10 and 25% off. And by using my affiliate link, you'll be supporting the channel. Essentially, how it works, guys, is I get a finder's fee for directing a new customer towards Element Games, and to be 100% clear, it costs you no more to use my affiliate link. Essentially, what happens is Element Games takes a little bit of their profit, gives it to me as a bit of a finder's fee, and it's a win-win-win for everyone because you get your bolt action at between 10 and 25% off. I get a little bit of a finder's fee, and that helps keep the channel going, and Element Games gets a customer that they wouldn't normally have got. So it's great for everyone. So if you're thinking of picking these starter sets up, check out that affiliate link down in the description below. And the best bit is I've also got a referral code, and if you use that referral code at the end of your purchase, then you will earn double store credit, which means you'll be able to save more money on your future purchases with Element Games. But that's all we've got time for today, guys. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please consider giving it a like, a comment, and subscribing. And of course, if you've really enjoyed today's video, please consider becoming a channel member or Patreon supporter. And I just want to say a massive thank you to all of my current channel members and patrons. It is thanks to those guys that I'm able to cover more game systems than just Warhammer 40k. I'm able to talk about bolt action, battletech, and loads of other things. So a huge thank you and an 07 to all of my current supporters. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, I'll see you guys next time.